Well, good morning and welcome back to the allotment and the channel. And today's video is going to be that video I promised you 2 or 3 weeks ago. To have a little chat with Norman, who used to have this plot for 50 years before me. Norman, here he is,
Morning.
the man.
Morning.
There we go. So Norman, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little chat. But before we do that, me and Norman are going to get some more of that black gold, aren't we?
We're going for that, yeah.
I need to try and get the garden soil all ready for the winter project and looking at, you know, the future of planting those tropical plants. So we're nipping up there, we're going to fill that up and we're going to get back. But this is the plot that Norman used to have.
Yeah.
And we're going to chat about that, aren't we, Norman?
Yeah. I used to have a shed here.
Yeah.
But he's knocked it down and built this.
That's what I've done. The shed were right here.
It was right in the middle.
I came in and I thought, what idiot had put a shed right in the middle at plot? You know, little did I know.
That was rules, you say, council rules.
So they were the rules you had to have.
Yes, it was your greenhouse or your shed in the centre of your plot.
Let's just move up a bit
side.
closer. Yeah.
So that's where it went.
So you had to put it there.
That's where you had
And
to
I've
put
noticed
it,
when I've gone round, there are little remainders of what used to be sheds back in there.
Greenhouses, yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we're going to reconvene afterwards at home in the bar.
Yeah.
But
that'd be good.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll have a couple of pints, Norman. But a burning question for Norman. So what do you think to plot now?
Well, it's not bad. It's nearly as good as when I had
Just
it.
nearly as good.
Nearly as good.
Well, that'll do. So we're heading in right direction.
Yeah,
Anyway, we're going to get off. We're going to go.
Not doing a bad job.
Well, that'll do for me from Norman, definitely.
Yeah.
So we're going to get off. We're going to go and get this black gold sorted, and we'll reconvene with you back in the bar.
Back in the bar. That's good.
All right, mate.
It's a nice
Lovely.
bar and all.
We'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
Well, after a little bit of huffing, puffing and grunting, we've managed to fill, I've got 20 bags of the black gold here, ready to go on the beds down at the bottom. And Norman got 8 bags. So we've done quite well. We've reconvened in the bar, so let's go in and see Norman. So here we are in the bar, and Norman's joined me kindly. And I think what we want to do first of all, Norman, is I think what I need to do is make a few corrections, because what I did a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about Norman, I said his dad had a plot on here before, but actually it wasn't. It was his brother that had the plot that I've got before you, Norman. Is that correct?
Yeah. My brother had that plot first.
Yeah.
And then he moved. So they let me. I had a plot opposite.
Yeah.
And they said, this is a better plot now. But I said, get on there and just had some soil delivered on it and what have you. So I went on to that plot.
And you took it then?
Yeah, it was around about 1962, 63.
So Norman took that plot in 1962. I were born in 1965. So we've worked it out. Norman's been away from that allotment now 7 years.
Yeah. When I did it in.
And what that also tells me is I thought I were on there longer than I actually thought I was. I thought I were coming up to my 9th, 10th year, but I can't have been. I must be 6 or 7 years. I think it's 7.
7 years, I reckon.
Yeah, 7. So Norman's had that plot a good 54-ish years.
Yeah.
So has the site changed, Norman?
Yeah.
As it stands now, did it look like that back in your day?
It has changed, yeah. Because back in my day, at the bottom of the site, it was just a wire fence. There used to be a stream, which has now been put in a culvert.
Yeah.
Where the factories are at the bottom end, there were Coburn playing fields.
Right, school fields.
I
remember playing a few football matches on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where the bed factory is, that was a print factory, and that was sort of spare ground.
Right.
And in the 40s and early 50s, that area was part of the allotments during the war.
Right. So I think the history of our site was that so they say, we don't know if it's a bit of an urban myth, but they say that it was farmland initially, and in the First World War, a farmer called Clark bequeathed that piece of land to the council in memory of his son that he lost in the First World War, and that's where we've got our allotments called Clark's Field.
That could be right, but I couldn't vouch for it.
No.
I know as a kid, the plots used to go right onto the road, and we used to walk down there up to what we used to call Walt's Farm and play on tipples and bottom end up plots, which we could get into. We used to go in and one of the rhubarb.
Oh, so you're doing a little bit of what do they call scrumping? Bit of scrumping. So in terms of the running of the site back then, so was it a council site? It wasn't, as it stands now. It's a self-managed site, so we've got our own committee, but it was a council-run site.
Council-run. Yeah.
So were it quite strict?
Yeah, I mean the council, the officers used to come down and make sure that everything were all right.
Right.
And then it went self-administered.
Right.
And the first guy who did it, a guy called, what's his name now?
Well, it's that long ago, Norman. No wonder. No wonder.
But he was good. He was a big fella.
Mm.
He was fair, but he was firm. And if you didn't mess about with him,
well, I think
he did his best to keep the plots tidy.
Yeah.
So
do you think back in the day when it was managed by the council, was it better? Was the site better, tidier? Did people follow the rules as opposed to when it went self-managed?
Yes, yeah, I think it was, but I don't think it was the self-management that did it. I think it mainly the people, how they've changed over the years.
Yeah.
Because everything's changed. A lot of people just don't give a damn.
No.
Whereas when I first went down there, all the guys down there were keen gardeners, and they liked to keep the site tidy,
right.
and they would come and help you and advise you.
Yeah.
You got so much different advice.
Yeah.
You know your veg.
Which way to go. So down there, and going back to sort of like the growing style then, did people just pretty much like a kitchen garden where everything were in rows and you just open land? There were no such thing as raised beds?
Yeah, we just grow it, you grow where your potatoes were, and you were putting your veggies in, and in them days your biggest problem were rabbits.
Right.
And you used to get jam jars and knock the bottom out if you could without breaking the jar, and put that round the plant to stop the
rabbits getting the
rabbits until they got big enough.
Yeah.
And then that's why sometimes you find a lot of broken glass on
old allotments. Yeah.
And the next thing that came along was drain pipes, when plastic piping came.
Yes.
And you used to get lengths of that and cut it into pieces, get 4-inch, 6-inch pipes,
Yeah.
put that round your plant
To stop them getting in.
rabbits. And
Yeah.
then of course,
Yeah.
mixed tomatoes
So-
came, and then it was pigeons.
Pigeons. Don't talk about pigeons, Norman. So, what about how did you get your plants going? Now, I'll tell you a tale. My father-in-law told me what they used to, as kids. He's probably just a bit older than you. And what he used to do is they didn't have greenhouses and things like that then. They used to get bricks and build them up, say 3 bricks high, make a square, and then they get soil in there. They put the seeds in, and then they just put a piece of glass over the top.
A window frame.
A window frame over the top,
Yeah.
and then. So is that the sort of thing that you did back in the day?
That you did. You just whatever were on site or what you could get your hands on,
Yeah.
and you'd make something that you could cover, as you say, with bricks,
Yeah.
bits of wood,
Yeah.
and put a window somebody's window frame,
Yeah.
and put that over top. It might have
So the
been
journey-
broken window frame,
Yeah.
cracked and broken out a corner, but you put that down, get your seeds up, and keep your fingers crossed. I could run them out before to
Right,
wet them.
right. So what do you think? When can you remember the first person to get a greenhouse on the allotment? Because that'll have been a big thing. I remember we in our street we were the first people to get a colour TV in our street, and I remember that everybody wanted to come in and look at a colour TV because they were all black and white. Do you
Well,
remember when somebody got a flashy greenhouse?
I can't remember the first one.
No.
On that you're on, when I got married in 1960,
Yeah.
we were one of the few people who had a fridge in the house, and
Yeah.
and my wife's friends used to come from work just to have a look at fridge.
Gosh, it's crazy, isn't it? It's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how things have changed.
Forgive my youngest. Well, is she my youngest? No, she's my second youngest. My second youngest granddaughter. You can hear her probably in the background throwing a thromby, but we'll try to ignore her. Yeah. So going back to sort of like bringing it up to more modern times,
Yeah.
Norman. You were on our plot, and were you the chairman or the vice chairman or the
Well, I was actually treasurer, I suppose,
Treasurer.
and assistant storeman.
Mm,
I used to look after the accounts and
right?
do a lot with the stores,
Yeah.
with the storeman at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did
And-
that with a friend of mine.
And is it and was it? Let's just say the committee. The committee. I mean, I don't know if it's same for people out there that are watching that are on allotments, but there's always that little bit of aggro with the committee, and you know, if you're on an allotment site and you've got a great committee, which our committee ain't bad, you know, they don't give you any grief or anything like that. But I do see some horror stories on YouTube about committee. And that. Were it a difficult job for you?
It finished up a difficult job, but we did it for what's like 10, 11 years.
Right.
Initially, we took it on because we had a chairwoman, and she didn't do anything, and if you asked her a question, she always used to throw the keys on the table
Threaten.
and say, if you can do anything better,
Oh, swearing. She was
yes,
swearing.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what to do.
Right.
And she did that virtually every meeting we had.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 of us got together and said, we can't carry on like this, what we're going to do?
Mm.
And I said, look, next time she throws keys on, I said,
Yeah.
I'll propose we accept her resignation.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. She threw her keys down, I can't remember the issue, probably to do with accounts, which were in a mess.
Yeah.
And I says, are you say you're going to retire, like, you're going to resign? She said, yes. I said, well, I propose that we accept the resignation.
You voted
And
on
of
it.
course, 2 Tories over there
Yeah.
seconded it, and we put it to a vote. What she didn't know was that 4 or 5 of us had got together and decided
Yeah.
what we were going to
Gonna
do.
do, yeah.
And from that we finished up with a very, very good committee.
Oh, right.
I mean, I could name
Yeah.
them, but no,
Yeah.
I shouldn't. No.
Right. No, I don't think you should, Norman. There's people watching.
Yeah.
So you've then obviously moved on from there, and you're
Yeah.
now on
Yeah.
you're now on an allotment site. Now I'm sure that a lot of the people on here. Have you got any good hints and tips for us? Let's have a think. The biggest. What's your nemesis? What's hard for you to grow? I'll tell you what mine is straight away. Cauliflowers.
Well, I think cauliflowers for everybody.
Is everybody?
They're always hit and miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I personally, I think what I'm going to do this year with cauliflowers is I'm going to grow them in a bed that I've not fed. So I'm putting a lot of manure, as I've told you, on the majority of the plot because I haven't done it for a couple of years now. But I am going to leave one bed and I'm not putting anything on. And I'm going to leave it because I don't know whether or not, if your soil's fertile,
Oh, too.
too fertile, they'll bolt on.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes as well, you've making sure you don't check the growth. So when those plants are potted on, they don't want to be sat in the pot and become too crowded for that pot. the minute you check the growth, I think that could be a problem.
Could be.
So what I'm going to try and do this year is make sure that I don't check the growth, and that I get them out, and that I get them in soil with no fertiliser in it. Because the only reason I say that, when COVID came, I grew some in my front garden. We were going to do the garden out. I can't remember what I think we were. What have we done now? I think it's what we've done now. We were going to change all the front of the house. So I says, right, look, I'll pull everything out and we'll put some cauliflowers in. We'll put some veg in, and I put some cauliflowers in there. And I kid you not, there were that. No, I'm kidding. There were that.
Yeah.
That big. But that front garden never, ever, ever had any fertiliser whatsoever on it. So I don't know. I might be a mile off the mark, but I'm going to give it a go.
Well, this year I've had some decent cauliflowers.
Have you?
Early on, yeah. And I always remember there was a guy on Clark's Field, and he used to always say, water your cauliflowers even if it's raining.
Did he?
Yeah.
And you were telling me before, he never failed, did he?
No, it never failed.
So water
And he had
could be another point. Make sure you water them even though it's raining.
Yeah.
So just make sure that they're well moist. Yeah.
Well, that's what he used to say. So.
And he used to be able to grow them.
Yeah.
You said he grew cauliflowers virtually the whole plot, didn't he? Yeah. Well, look, what we're going to do is, I think what I'm going to do with this is me and Norman. I'm going to invite Norman back oh, excuse me, that Guinness is repeating on me. I'm going to invite Norman back periodically, and just to have these chats. And what I'm going to do before he comes, I'm going to invite you, the viewers, to pose some questions to Norman. You know,
thank you.
Well, I'm putting you on spot, Norman, but don't worry, I'm here to absorb it with you as well, so that you're not going to be pressured. But yeah, I'm going to bring Norman back because I think it's nice just to sit down sometimes and just have a little casual chat rather than seeing the plot and this, that, and the other. You know, this is actually what me and Norman do every other Friday.
Yeah.
You know, we come in, don't we, on a Friday.
Yeah.
We have a couple of... Norman's on tea now because it's a little bit early for Norman.
Yeah.
But we have a couple of pints on a Friday with Mick. And we just talk allotments. We talk, you know, what we're doing, how we're growing. So, yeah, I think periodically we'll bring Norman back and we can have a chat with him. Is that all right with you, Norm?
That'll be fine, yeah. So I get star billing.
Yeah, he's getting star billing, but he's told me the invoice is going to be in the post. So right, next time I'll see you will be tomorrow morning down on the allotment. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. And Norman, say bye bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope I can give you some advice or make the videos interesting for you. Talking to an old guy.
He is a legend and a treasure. Right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Right.
Well, good morning. Down on the plot, as promised. Great chatting to Norman yesterday. I think that, as I said, I'm going to introduce Norman periodically to the channel, just having brief chats about what he's doing on his allotment and what he used to do. It's typical. Once we'd finished filming, Norman said, oh, we should have mentioned this and we could have mentioned that and should have told him this and I should have told him that. And I said, don't worry, Norman, we've got plenty of time. There'll be future videos, so he'll be able to share that with us then. Right, as I mentioned, I was going to make a bit of an announcement, and I'm going to do that. But before we do that, I've decided to harvest these pumpkins now. I've got one here and one in there. As you can see, these are starting to go brown now, and I don't want to risk this snapping. So I'm going to do the V-cut. Not much left on that one there. Let me just get rid of that. And let's go there. Boy. And there we go. That is a beauty. And as you can hear, that is hollow. So that is well and truly ripe. Right, all I've got to do now is go around the other side and let's get the other one. Well, this one's not quite as big, but it's still looking good. There we go. And that's another beauty. There we go, just have a look at those. I'm really pleased with those. And I'm going to put those in the shed and just let them ripen up, and these will be given to family on Halloween. And well, I might keep one of these, actually. I might keep the smaller one. So now what I can do is I can actually take all this green waste away, but I've got to be very careful because I've got some butternuts down here and I need to just make sure I don't take the wrong plant out. So that's there. Just got to try and trace it back. It's definitely over there. So I know that this here is the one that needs to go. I'll just give that a nick there. Leave that. That's got to go across over there. So if I nick that, I can get that big chunk out of the way. Oh, what's this here? Oh, this would have, and this was that one. So let's just check. Yeah, take that out as well. And then I should be able to pull all this away. Just got to be careful here. That is on there. So let me just take that off. So the butternut squash is still intact and the pumpkin is now harvested. So what I'll do is I can clear this bed up. But what we'll do, we'll go have that chat. Gosh. Right, well, since I was last talking to you down there, there's been a meeting, and that's where I've just walked back from. And the little bit of news that I wanted to pass on to you is that, oh, before we do that, look at these. Dan, whose allotment that I took you to the other day, with the sweet corn that were like beanstalks. These are some of the corn that he's done. They're absolutely massive, and that you can tell that they're full right to the very tip. So he's just been down and dropped some on my chair for me. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, there's been a meeting at the AGM meeting for the committee down at the allotments shed, and the old committee have decided that they didn't want to continue, and they needed somebody, the committee, a new committee, because all of them pretty much were standing down. They've been doing it for quite a long time, and I think they were, you know, a little bit tired and jaded, and, you know, no animosity, anything like that. And I am now the chairman of this allotment site. I was asked quite a while ago, even the old chairman approached me and asked me to think about it, and a few other people. And basically, if we didn't get anybody to put the name forward, then there's a possibility that it could get handed back to the council, and, you know, really everybody wanted to keep it a self-managed site. So I gave it some thought, and I thought, right, the only way that I'm going to do this is if I get some really committed people to join the committee. So we needed a treasurer, we needed a secretary, we needed a stores person, we needed a vice chairman. So we've now got a new committee. So Martin, who grows the huge leeks, he's now the vice chair. Mick, who you see a lot with me, he's now the secretary. And Dawn, who's a couple of plots down, she's taken the treasury role. And Christine is now the stores person. So it's the beginning of a new chapter for me. Now, some people might think, well, have you taken on too much? You've given up your plot at the bottom, and you know, so you could have more time on your allotment. Now, the way we've had discussions prior to putting his names forward, and the way that we want to try and work things is that during the off season, in the winter, we're looking at the site and all the jobs that we can do, plot clearances, entry points, exit points, you know, making sure that there's access in case of emergencies and things like that. All that sort of work is going to get done in the winter. So you know, my plot gets put to bed pretty much, bar a few maintenance jobs. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I think then in the summer and in the growing season, the main things that we're going to be concentrating on is because we're not going to be trying drawing people off the plots to do jobs and this, that and the other. We want to try and keep that to the winter. And the main thing for the committee then would be during the summertime is looking at events, because we want to try and make the allotment site a little bit more of a community site and try and, you know, get as many people involved within the community as we possibly can. So, you know, putting the show back on is one at the meeting that people are keen to see come back. Looking at maybe having an open day, maybe looking at various options that we're going to discuss and put to the plot holders. So yeah, it's added responsibility, but my wife always said to me, she says, one of these days you're going to be chairman of that place. She says, and I'll never see you. Well, that day's come. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I know we're not going to be able to please everybody all of the time. It's how it is. You know, there are going to be some sticky situations where maybe people aren't looking after the plot, and you've got to go over and you've got to. But I always believe that if you talk to people right, and you know, you make sure you give them fair warning and you're understanding, then it makes things easier. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge, to be fair. So I'm going to go home now and sit down with a pint, get in the hot tub, it's drizzling a little bit, and look back and think, what have you done? Anyway guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This video was a little bit different. I want to thank Norman, who is a treasure, for his time. I'd like to thank everybody that likes and comments these videos, and if you're watching now, give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and if you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But until the next time, take care and happy growing.